Hey, how you doing? So, guys, I want to talk to you very quickly about what, what are good foods and what are bad foods. This is a classic thing I always get asked. I go, Tom, what should I be eating? What should I not be eating? What should I cut out? What is healthy? What's these superfoods? And I'm going to tell you the answer now, conclusively, and that is, there's no such thing. It's all rubbish. It's all a myth. Good foods and bad foods are black and white. There's nothing black and white in health, and certainly not in weight loss. You, for instance, if you're watching this, are completely different to anyone else I've ever seen before, I've ever met before. Your life's completely individual, and your genetics are completely individual. Therefore, a good food for you may be a bad food for someone else, and so on. But let's forget these silly wordings of good and bad, yeah? There's no such thing. Let's talk about purely being appropriate, okay? And how do we know if a food's appropriate? Well, we have to have some knowledge, and the knowledge we need to know is what those nutrients within those foods do to our bodies, okay? And there's part of this is going to be a learning curve for you. You've got to figure out what your bodies and how your bodies react to certain things, and we all have different ways of reacting to things. Some people may be lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, alcohol intolerant. There may be other intolerances there as well. So, appropriate foods. Let's start at the beginning. We need to understand what the nutrients that we consume. Broadly speaking, nutrients are divided into two main groups, which are macros, which are the big nutrient groups, and then micros, which are the smaller ones. Micro and macro, obvious, right? Micro nutrients are vitamins and minerals, okay? So we all know these. They're things that we have in trace amounts, small amounts, but are very essential that we have enough of them. Macro ingredients are the main things we eat, the bulk of our diet, if you like. And they're split into three main groups. That's proteins, lipids are fats, and carbohydrates. Now, we all have an opinion of each one of those. If I were to say them to you in the back of your mind, it's ringing a bell. Oh, yeah. And probably you get hung up on the fats and carbs as being pretty bad for you. Fats make you fat, carbs make you fat, right? Well, let's analyze exactly what they do. Well, maybe not exactly, let's abridge what they do. First of all, proteins. Proteins are the building blocks. They are the bricks that build the house, if you like, the bricks that build our flesh. They make our muscles, they make our cells, they make our bones. It all comes from coded proteins, okay? So we understand that we need protein quite a lot. And if we do something like exercise, where our muscles are broken down, then we need protein to replenish that. Having said that, our body's constantly regenerating, so we always need good amounts of protein. Not all protein are equal, of course, because we have some fatty proteins and less fatty proteins. That's probably a conversation for another day. So proteins are the building blocks of us. Fats, seriously important. Fats what send nerve signals. The sheathing along the nerve signals. They make the cell membrane so that the cells can communicate with each other. Fats are so important. They are the bricks and mortars. They're the cabling that wires everything together. Superbly important. So don't think that eating fats are going to get you fats. It's not black and white. Fats we need, especially healthy balance between the two major fat groups, which are omega-3s and omega-6s, okay? Again, we could go into more detail, but I just want you to know this abridged version. Last, we have carbohydrates. And now when I say carbs, a lot of you are going to be going carbs. Ooh, yeah, that's the one. Cut the carbs out, cut the fat out, you're going to be good. But that's very crude. That's going back to the good and bad analogies, okay? Carbs are essential. They are the energy that fuels us. They're the energy that makes us fire. They are what gives us our power. Yeah, they are the electricity that runs through the house. So we need carbs without a doubt. It's essential that we get carbs in our lives. Now the problem comes is that we're a product, we're a product of modernity. So actually, our success has been our downfall when it comes to carbs, because traditionally, before we had modern world where we can get carbs and processed carbs like that, we would be hunting for carbs. Carbs would be the bonus. When we found those carbs, we would feast on those and it would be a good day. When we found that hive of honey, that ripe tree of fruit, when we found that nice root vegetable which wasn't too fibrous and we could chew through it and gave us carbs, that would be a happy day. Now, of course, companies, big companies, and ourselves have played up on that love of carbs, and we've managed to get them refined and processed and on tap, and we can have them too much. So basically, the way we treat the carbs is inappropriate. Let me go back to that word appropriate, okay? Now we know basically what the 3 macro ingredients do and how we need them all, macronutrients that is, the proteins, the lipids and the carbs. How can we use them appropriately? Well, let me give you this analogy, and this is one of my favorite analogies, okay? I give this to all my clients. You have 2 outfits. You have a summer outfit, which is a lovely swimming costume, yeah? A bikini maybe, not for me. A bikini or swimming trunks or something. On the other hand, you have salopettes and a ski jacket. They're perfect snow weather, yeah? 2 brilliant outfits. Perfectly suitable, perfectly good, and perfectly needed for their environment. So you're wearing the salopettes and the ski outfit in the Alps. It's minus 30 degrees and it's snowing. It is perfect. You're nice and warm. You're wearing that bikini in Bondi Beach because it's 40 degrees. You're melting, you're going for a dip in the sea. It's perfectly reasonable to wear those 2 outfits in those 2 scenarios. Let's swap those scenarios, and all of a sudden we've got something which becomes a bit inappropriate. Wearing your bikini in minus 30 in the Alps would probably give you frostbite, right? And likewise, if you're wearing the salopettes and ski attire on Bondi Beach on a 40 degrees day, you'll probably end up with heat stroke. So neither outfit is wrong, but it's just inappropriate times or appropriate times of using them. That's how we've got to think about those macronutrients. What does that mean? Well, look, if you've just done a big workout, you've done a lot of work, your body needs to regenerate harder, you need more protein, yeah? Simple, yeah? You're going for long walks, your body's using its aerobic system, which is mainly fats and stored fats and oxygen. So yeah, maybe a little bit more of a fattier meal to keep that going is a good idea. You've spent the whole day doing some really hard exercise and hard work. Then you need something with a lot of carbs in it. But let's reverse that, and you spent a whole day in the office, sat down on the computer. Is having 3 carb-heavy meals in that day appropriate? Well, of course not. So with this imaging in mind, and with this process in mind, we can suddenly see there's no such thing as good and bad foods. What we can see is there's good and bad habits, and there's appropriate and inappropriate time to consume those foods. So now you understand the 3 macronutrients, you can look into what foods have what percentage of those ingredients and nutrients in pretty simply. All right, guys, so let's change our mindset on this. There's no such thing as good and bad foods. There's only appropriate times and inappropriate times to consume them. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.